Hey MB fam, this is Deidre Dickey. It's an honor and privilege to introduce you to our newest cover feature. This cover feature is for our special edition honoring men of God who have had lifelong achievements in their respective careers and fields. So it is my honor and privilege to introduce you to PJ Morton.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Beautiful.
The eyes are the window to the soul. So when you look at yourself, who do you see?
When I look at myself, who do I see?
Mm-hmm.
I still see the kid who just fell in love with music, who knew that that was going to be his voice, his weapon of choice, to get out a message of love, of God, and whatever else I was to communicate. I still see that little kid when I see me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So as a little kid, okay, what age? How old were you when you realized your
I
gifting?
always say 8. 8 years old is when I remember starting to mess around on the keys, and when I started to pay attention to songs. I feel like that 8-year-old PJ is like, that's the start of it all.
Mm-hmm. How have you not lost that 8-year-old? How do you keep your childlike wonder?
I mean, that's a great question. I really have to reset every time, like, remind myself of why I'm doing this, because it's easy and it can move quickly, especially in the music business. It can move so quickly, and once you find some success, then it's the pressure to continue that success. But sometimes I have to pause myself and say, listen, the thing that got you to this success was not doing that. So reset and don't chase anything, but be present. And so that's sometimes a daily reminder, sometimes a weekly reminder, monthly reminder. But whenever I have to do that, get reset back to my purest form.
Yeah. How do you reset? What does that look like for you?
I mean, for me, it really is thinking of when I'm in that process. Sometimes you'll think of, oh, this is going to work on radio, or the marketing plan of this, or this how I'm going to sell this. For me, it's going back to, do I like this song?
Yeah.
Does this move me? Will it move my friends? Because I think of that too. When I was a kid, it's like I just wanted to play a lick that made my friends go, ooh, like that was crazy.
Yeah.
I go back to that kid of like, are my friends gonna be like, PJ, that was dope, and so it's that process for me.
I like that. Has there ever been an instance where you felt pressure to not be you, and that you can speak on that and how you overcame that?
100%. At many stages of my life and career, I felt pressure to conform. I mean, oftentimes it was, the latest version of it was, PJ, you could do whatever you want for the rest of the album. Just let me get this one song that's going to be on the radio. And that was very tempting, because it's like, okay, that's a good balance, But I always came back to myself and said, no, like even that, I want to be authentically me. And I wanted to say what I'm trying to say, and go back to the reason I'm doing this. And that's not to sell records. I mean, although I want to, I want that to be a byproduct of me making something beautiful, So that's definitely one way, asking me to just be different, to dress different from how I, all these types of things have happened throughout my career, and I fought it every step of the way, and listen, sometimes I may have been right, sometimes I may have been wrong, but what I can stand on is I was doing what I felt was right in that moment.
Yeah. Is there a version of PJ that you would like to go back to be able to tell him, like, no, you don't have to do it that way?
There was a time, I guess, right before I did, or right after my Young Money deal, when I signed the Young Money. It wasn't any pressure coming from any person. It was internally, because I was seeing all this success around me. Also, that the same time, a year before I signed the Young Money is when I joined Maroon 5. So I was seeing all this success around me, and I'm like, do I have to, maybe I should do this like this, or change that. And it wasn't coming from anybody, so I didn't know if that maybe was the pure me saying it. But I realized more and more, listen, those those things have their places and awesome. I'm connected to them. Great. But you know, let's I'm an individual for a reason. Let's continue to be that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I'm trying to be the thumb, while the thumb is already taken, and we're being counterproductive. So I jump back to it.
Yeah. What's your favorite process of your creative process? Is it the writing? Is it the music? Is it the producing? What do you love about it? What's like the thing that sticks out for you the most?
Yeah, I like them all for different reasons.
Yeah.
They're kind of like kids, you know.
I wondered.
Not picking my favorite kid.
Yeah.
Because the creative process of making something out of nothing will never get old to me. I mean, it's just like nothing exists, and all of a sudden you have this thing.
Yeah.
That but then you go and perform that on stage, and you see people singing that thing that you created out of nothing back to you, and you can't beat that either. So it's like picking the stage over the studio, or for me, they just play different parts. But I guess that the stage couldn't exist without that. So if I had to pick, I would say the creation process. And production and writing are kind of one and the same for me, because I've always been the writer and producer. So it's kind of like while I'm creating, I'm also thinking of how it's going to be produced, you know, while I'm writing it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all kind of happening at the same time.
So I was having a conversation with a brother of yours in Christ and a fellow music artist, and he said that he was curious what comes first for you, because you're known for your progressions, and he kept reiterating how much he loved your progressions. And he asked, he goes, for me, when I'm writing, the content comes first, then the melody. For you, when you're creating, what do you do first? What do you hear first? Do you hear the melody, or do you hear the words?
Yeah, I very rarely, maybe one time in my whole life, I heard the words first.
Really?
I mean, I'll get pieces of like lines or like titles that I want to come back to, and I'll write them in my notes. But it's always melody first for me.
Really?
Because I think Quincy Jones maybe said music first, but for me, sometimes I'll record my mumble, you know, and sometimes that mumble is trying to tell me what to say. So I think there's something innate about doing that melody first, because it's almost like speaking to you already. And then it speaks to you to tell you what words you're supposed to say to that. So that's often, that's my process more often than not, is melody first.
That's like some childlike wonder, like that faith. Like you just, fear's not learned there, so kids are just free, and they just do, and they just move. So that innate voice inside of you that just has that mumbling, that cry, that's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Paul McCartney, when he wrote Yesterday, he was dreaming it, and it was scrambled eggs in his dream. Scrambled eggs, da 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 da, and then it turned to yesterday. Wow. You know, but that's very close to my process. It's like, what is it trying to say? You know, let me listen to what it's trying to tell me. So, so the melody is very, that's usually the leader for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your most difficult album to create?
My most difficult album to create, I guess I'd say Gumbo, because it was coming off of the Young Money album, where there were a lot of expectations, all these things, and I was getting out of that deal, and I was going to do another deal, and I just really wasn't feeling what was going on. It just wasn't. And I was like, okay, listen, I'm moving back home. I was still in LA. I was moving back home to New Orleans. And, you know, well, I didn't even want to do music at that point.
Really?
I was coming here to start a sneaker store.
Really?
And I saw that I was a leader all of a sudden. I didn't realize that I had always been the young boy. I was the youngest always. Okay. And what I realized coming home was, oh man, there's no voice or nobody that taps you on your shoulders to say, all right, now you're supposed to be leading. You know, I just saw that there was a need still that wasn't met when I left New Orleans, which was you know, the infrastructure in music. Like, it's the greatest musicians in the world in New Orleans, but no music business. So that's why you usually have to leave to find success, and that's what I did. But coming back home is kind of like that need, and seeing that hunger from a lot of people started to reignite. Oh, I started to remember why I wanted to do it, you know. But I came home, and Gumbo was going to be my last album. It was like, I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I want to do without thinking about it, without any expectation, and so it was difficult in that sense of it being my last and me saying, all right, I'm done. I guess it was easy in the sense that I wasn't thinking about anybody else, but getting to that point was very difficult of blocking everything out. You know, that's when I wrote that song Claustrophobic, because it was like it's so much, you know. But so getting to that freedom was difficult.
Yeah. What was your most favorite album to create?
Probably my first one, Emotions. Because I didn't know. I was, you know, I say now that at Gumbo I was willfully ignorant. With Emotions, I was actually ignorant. Like I just didn't know. I had no idea, and I thought if I make the best music, if I make the best thing that I can make, I'm gonna sell 500 million albums. And like what? Why not? Like,
why not?
Of course.
Yes.
Like, if you make the best stuff, then
of course.
people gonna hear that. It's like, I just didn't understand. That was so simple to
Right.
me. And then, boom, reality set in, and it was like, oh no, you know, to get on radio, you might have to meet this person and know this person and pay that person and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, you know. So it was like ignorance, but I made, you know, at that time the best music that I could make. Because I didn't care. I was just I was calling my, like, if I heard a certain bass line, I called that bass player and say, hey, come here, I want you to play it. Like, it was my dream. Yeah, it was my dream album in that way. And I say now Gumbo is my favorite album, but for the same reason. But it's like I chose to be ignorant at Gumbo. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, I have all this information, but I'm choosing to ignore that and just try to make the best thing that I could make. You know?
Love that.
Yeah.
I'd really do. So we know about the keys. Are there any other instruments that you play?
There are some instruments. I mean, I play bass a little bit. I play guitar a very little bit. I don't like to say that in front of my friends. I got real musician friends, so I don't claim these instruments in front of them, but I do play them on record. And I started on drums, but I think I'm a horrible drummer now. Yeah.
But they're honest expressions of who you are, so it's true to your music. So you need to, you know, be able to express yourself. Yeah. So for all those that don't know, we are a Christian high fashion magazine, and so I want to ask you about your walk with the Lord. When did you know that you had a relationship with the Lord, and how has He just guided and helped you in this career?
Well, I guess it's two points. It's the young point where it's like, oh, I'm in church every day, 3 times a week. Yeah. You know, like it's just a part of who I am. It's just a part of my life. But really where I had to know for myself was when I went to college. My freshman year at Morehouse was the first time I was out of my protective bubble and people actually challenged it, you know, challenged my faith. And it just forced me to go within and figure out, okay, why do I believe? I know my parents told me to, but like, how do I know it's real? And then I started to see all these different points in my life where God showed me that He was real. And that is, for me, that has guided my whole career. Yeah. I tell people all the time, I've just been fortunate to be in some right places at some right times, and just happened to be prepared when I was there. But like, even my life right now, like, even my greatest plan, and I was a marketing major at Morehouse, right? So like, I believe in plans and rollouts, and but I could have never come up with the way that my life has gone and my career has gone. Even with the best planning that I tried to do, He was like, all right, that's cool.
But I got something for you.
Exactly, and it still blows my mind right now.
Wow, so cool. Married, father of 3.
That's right, yeah.
Go ahead and share a little bit about your family.
Yeah, married to Courtney, 12 years this past December.
Wonderful.
Which I guess we beat the statistics at this point.
Yes.
I was like, 12 years?
12.
That's nuts. And my oldest, Jakai, is 15. I just bought him a car for his 16th birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
His 16th birthday. And P3 is 10, and Peyton is 8. My little babies, man.
Yeah.
But our family is so huge to me. It was, to my parents, family was just a big deal, and they really instilled that in me. So when I was able to have my own family, I just made sure that it was number one, and I think we're even more loving than I was. I took some of that stuff and I added even more to it, because my childhood, I tell everybody, was amazing. Like it feels like some TV childhood. It was just, I had so much fun. Like, I'm like, my family's fun, but I feel like we have added that and beat it in a lot of ways. So I love it, man. I love it. Being a father is like my favorite thing. I just love it. So it is, it has been challenging sometimes traveling. That's why for me the pandemic was a blessing in a lot of ways, just because I got to spend time with them, and really lock in, because I was going hard. I was feeling it right before the pandemic, that I was going hard, and I had to. I want to provide, but it was also nice to stop and make sure that they had the proper attention that they needed. I got to teach them how to ride bikes and all of these things that I would have missed. I was a homeschool teacher for a little second.
Okay. Yes.
Unbeknownst to me. But it was amazing, and I think we needed that reset as a family.
Yeah. I was going to ask you too if it's been hard to balance, your creative, heart with your family, but you just spoke on it, and I appreciate that. Do you see creativity in them?
I do, yeah, and all of them in different ways.
Yeah.
Jakai is now like 6 feet, 6'1", so his creativity is changed to sports. It's a feat that I never quite got to.
Got to go back to designing shoes.
Yeah. I give him the sneakers.
Yes.
And P3, same. I feel like he could be a director, a movie director, because he puts these shows on and makes these characters and all of that stuff. So I see that coming out in his way. And Peyton, my youngest, my princess, she is all these things. Like I see a lot in her. She can really draw. That's how I started, just drawing. I think as kids we do whatever we can to just get it out. So whatever medium is closest. That's why I think I went to drums first, but I would draw. And then I went to drums, and she's singing, and she's very shy right now. I was too. I used to be. I'm talking about like shaking, afraid.
Really?
To
Well,
sing
how
in
did you
front of
overcome
people.
that?
Literally just doing it, just being forced to do it.
Wow.
I'm so thankful of my father now, because every time I thought I wasn't ready to do something, that's when he was like, all right, it's time to try that. But I literally, had he not pushed me, I wouldn't have known that I wanted that and loved it, and because the fear will make you think that I don't even.
That's true.
And I would have missed my whole everything. And people don't realize. I mean, because I started off as keys, so I was behind the scenes, for years and years. And he wanted me to sing because he knew I could sing, because I was singing home. And but that's the way. That's why I tell everybody with fear, like, you just got to face it. There's no other remedy. I wish there was. You just got to face that fear head on.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Wow. What other things have you had to overcome? I know you said you were shy, but what other areas that you were challenged?
I think one challenge that I'm still challenged with a little bit is that, I'm like, I am an extrovert but an introvert at the same time, right? So in this business, you have to sometimes talk to people, and I'm a people person, but I am also can be very just to myself. I like being alone. I'm usually in the studio alone, or it's just me and my engineer. So that is something that I had to just face and say, all right, listen, we go have a conversation with that person. Go talk to that person. Yeah, maybe you should go to this event and just, see people and let people know that you're a real person, because once I'm there and once I break through, then I'm fine. But that initial, it's like I could just stay home,
right.
So that's one thing that I've had to overcome, and still sometimes struggle with.
That's good to know. You got to keep grinding
Gotta
behind the
keep
grind.
pushing. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you know this. You might.
Okay.
But you are referred to as a musician's musician. Have you heard this?
I don't know that I've heard that. Maybe I've seen it in an article
Okay.
or something. Yeah.
Well, who is an artist that embodies that sentiment for you?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. It just popped right in my head. But Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is, if there was a bigger word than musician, because he's that. But then he's songwriter. He's the producer's producer. So I think he's just the music man's music man. You know, like I just need a bigger thing for him. But he was my blueprint, being a person who played keys first. Seeing him sing and write and play, I was like, oh, okay. So that's how you put those together. And there was no better blueprint than him. And for me, I'm always looking. I'm always, you know, he reached such pinnacles so early that I'm still hearing things I didn't hear, you know, years ago when I first started listening to Stevie. So he's definitely my one. Prince is another one that comes to mind when you talk about a musician's musician. It's just, he was the ultimate. And I always think it's amazing when real musicians can cut through the noise and get you know, get to the mainstream and become that big, because a lot of times the music can be a distraction. You know, it's like, keep it simple, don't. But when a Stevie and a Prince slips through, you know, and sometimes I wonder and worry, what would a Prince or a Stevie make it today, you know? Wow. Because we've cut that off so much that somebody that special can't even, you know, would an A&R say, oh, I don't know. It's a little musical. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have a Prince or a Stevie. But that's another conversation for another day. But Prince, yeah, is definitely another one that just pops right in my head.
So I know you've collabed with Stevie. He played harmonica on one of your joints.
That's right.
Would you ever want to collaborate again? Maybe have him sing or play this time?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about, I told him I want to do a whole album together, you know, a whole EP or just whatever. I mean, when he sees me, you know, we talk about working. He works with a mentor of mine all the time. So I'm just waiting on the time. He reached out to me during the pandemic, actually, about a song that he was working on. So that is one person that I'm never going to, I mean, what? Like, what are we even talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm never going to be saying no to Stevie forever and ever and ever. I'm indebted to Stevie. I feel like he taught me. Now I know him and I can talk to him and call him, but he taught me for many years from afar without knowing me. I learned so much. I mean, I felt like it was past fandom, because I don't even know all the words. This was like a fan knows all the songs and all the words. It was something deeper. And so when I got a chance to tell him that, you know, it was just really special. And it was reciprocated. The love was reciprocated, which is so amazing and was so encouraging to me to, you know, to stay in love with it the way he has. You know, he still loves it so much.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I think you have to protect yourself in order to keep loving it that way. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who else would you like to collaborate with?
You know, it's so funny because I used to get that question and Stevie used to be my answer all the time. And then I worked with Stevie and it's like, all right, who? But I think of my counterparts like a Pharrell or something, you know. As a producer, I would love to see what we would do together. I'm a big fan of Kendrick Lamar and what he does and what we could do together. So, yeah, it's those are two that come to mind.
So I posed this question to a few people that know you, and the answers were interesting.
Yeah.
First one was D'Angelo.
Oh my God. Yeah, you know what? We just talked about that. We just talked about D'Angelo like a week or so ago, and I think he's so. I don't think of him because he doesn't really do it.
Right.
So he's on this album I worked on with Rhapsody. He's on the album with her, and it was just a fluke how it happened.
Right.
I mean, it was the
Right.
craziest story of how it happened. It like she couldn't even believe it. Like, you know, she wasn't even
Right.
asking for it.
Right.
It was like, But D'Angelo at this point would be my number
Really?
one. So somebody is right. Whoever
Wow. I'm
is
going to tell
saying
you.
that. But
I'll bring it out later.
D'Angelo is my ultimate sensei. That's
Wow.
around. I haven't met D'Angelo, which is crazy because everybody around me
Really?
has been. Yeah. So usually when that happens, I know that it's gonna happen naturally. But
Okay.
yes, D'Angelo.
Okay, and then another one. Get ready. Billie Eilish.
Wow. I'm
Yes.
a fan of Billie. I'm a fan. She's the real deal.
She is, and
She's the real
that
deal.
was the point that was being made. You're so authentic and true to who you are, and she is as well. And your progressions, like they said, are out of this world. So
I
to
would
hear
love
her
that.
sing on top of those,
Billie's cold. Billie's cold.
so just putting it out there,
Mad
you
at that.
know,
I like that.
just putting it out there.
Yeah.
So you have another name out there in the world, just so you know,
Okay.
and
What's
it's
that?
the live show killer.
Yes. I know about that.
What has been your favorite live show of your own that you've played to date?
Oh man, they are different expressions every single night
Right.
when we're on tour.
Or should say, like, your biggest, like,
Yeah,
freshest memory?
I'm trying to think because then I have, when you say that, I have Maroon shows that come to mind that were mind blowing. In Rio and stuff, seeing 120,000 people. But I think Atlanta, I just played a venue that I wanted to play since college. I remember when I was at Morehouse, I went to see Alicia Keys play there. And on this last tour before the pandemic, we played, that's where they used to do funk jazz. I can't think of the venue right now, but it was a big full circle moment for me. I can remember being on side of the stage, looking at Alicia up there like, yo, I love this venue. I can't wait till I can play it and meet, especially going through that Atlanta scene. And, as long as I've been working to finally get to that place was just, it was a big deal. So that one sticks out for me.
I love that. Yeah. So you're the live show killer, but for you, who's a live show killer?
When you say D'Angelo, but then the lineage though. So D'Angelo is Prince's child, So when you talk about that, I literally would study Prince, his live shows. But Prince studied James Brown, who is the original live show killer. James, those transitions never stopping. If you watch James, Prince, D'Angelo, or me, we are like live DJs where the music doesn't stop. We don't want you to stop moving. That comes from that school. I studied that. I studied at Prince and had to realize that James did it. But then Prince and D'Angelo were probably my biggest influences live. They are live show killers.
I love it. Yeah. What's one song of yours that has to be played no matter what?
Now, How Deep Is Your Love or First Began. Those two I have to play, or I'm gonna get some hate comments for sure. Yeah.
What's your song though? Personal song. I know that's a fan favorite. Yeah. But what's your?
I still like playing First Began.
Yeah.
It's such a like sweet song. It's like very, and you can feel it in the room. Like when it happens, because of it starting without a beat too, like out of beat. It's like, and people are waiting for that beat to drop. It's just a special. It's a special thing every time it happens.
Yeah.
Because even when people don't know it, that's my favorite thing is the people in the crowd who are new.
Really?
I always ask how many new people are here because I like to see it transform them.
Yeah.
But when First Begin happens, they're just listening, and then this beat drops, and everybody's like, it's a moment.
I love that. Ooh, that's powerful. Okay, so your topic of choice the theme is love. If you could write about any other topic, what would it be?
If I could write about any other topic.
What comes to mind?
Well, it's crazy because that's what Gumbo was about. Right? There was First Begin, but then there weren't really love songs because I wanted to challenge myself. Much like Marvin did when he did What's Going On. He went from all those love songs. So I guess for me, it's just being a reflection of life outside of love, which is giving voice to the voiceless.
Yes.
And so that could be, inequality, just what people are going through every day. I think it's important for songs to speak to all areas of life. That's why I don't hate on music, because I'm like, everybody's got to play a part. Like, we got so many things that we go through life, and music is supposed to be a song for every moment.
Yeah.
You know, so I just love being that as outside of love, because that's what comes natural to me. It is talking about what we're dealing with, issues. When I wrote Everything's Gonna Be All Right, I wrote it as a chant for when we need that extra boost to know I'm not alone. You know, other people are down sometimes with me, and everything's gonna be all right. So
Yeah. Why do you think it comes so naturally for you to talk about love? Love's not an easy topic to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. It was always in me that way from very young, and maybe attribute a lot of it to my parents who have been married 40-something years.
Wow.
But happily married though, I saw friendship always first with them. That they actually liked each other was something that always stood out to me. Like, oh, they having fun. Like, this is not duty, you know.
Right.
Although it probably was a lot of duty in that, you know. Now being married 12 years, I know sometimes it's like, all right, I ain't laughing today. This is duty.
Right.
But that was always the example I saw, and so I think that put that love in me very early. But I was always loving. It was always there, and it just continued.
Yeah. If you could give any advice or word of encouragement to anybody else that is struggling with staying true to who they are and their art, what would you say?
Well, I'd say, you know, today is probably the best time in the world to be a creator, in the sense that there is an audience for you. You can find your people. If you can be realistic about what your audience is going to be, and, you know, because we used to think ABC, NBC, CBS, right, one of the big three, and now music is cable television. So maybe you have your little channel. So it's the greatest time in the world to create. And the only thing that is separating you from every other artist, I forget how many songs are downloaded a day now, like 50,000 or something like that. The only thing that separates you is you being exactly who you are. I mean, you're going to get caught up in all of these things unless you're authentically who you are. That's literally the only thing that's going to separate you from every other artist. That's what makes you special. So lean into that. It may feel unpopular in the moment, but if you were talking about longevity and trying to be around for a little bit, then hone in on that thing that makes you special. Get as great as you can at that thing, because that's the thing that's going to sustain you and make people say, I think PJ should do that, because they know what that means, you know. But when you're imitating, then it's like, well, I'm going to get the original, you know. So I would say lean into that. This is the best time in the world to be that. You know, go ahead, do your thing. Yeah.
Yes. And to all of our fathers, what would be your word of advice to them as well?
Yeah, being a father, I think, you know, having grace. I mean, I think for any parent, grace for, you know, as much as possible to yourself. Understand that there's no blueprint that actually works, you know, because just like you're an individual, every single kid is an individual of yours. So, you know, take it easy on yourself, and understand that you're there to help guide. You know, your guardrails. You're not there to control. You're not there to just give orders, but to be guardrails. And I think love is the main thing. If you have that, if what you're doing is in love, then I think, you know, because we can be so worried of like how was that going to affect my kid? What I said yesterday, man, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have did it like that. But when it's coming from a place of love, you can reset that, and I think your kid can feel that your heart, you know, ultimately. Yeah.
Yes, so true. No, you're good. Okay, I want to share something with you. It's a Zoom, so we're going to flip over to Zoom, because I want to give you some encouragement from a fellow brother of yours.
Okay.
And I think it's really, really, really neat. Let me make sure I queued it up right for you. Okay. her up just a hair. Okay. Introduce me.
Okay, cool. PJ, bro, you are such an inspiration to so many men. My friends and my family, like when we go, when we're on a boat, when we're going on vacation, when we got a long ride, like we know we can turn on a PJ album and just push play, and we ain't doing no skipping, you know. So there's that, right? Like I'm a fan, but beyond that, man, don't ever question like your impact. Don't ever question like. I hope you're not questioning. You know, did you do the right thing? Did you make the right moves? You know, did you go about the path the right way? I really believe you did. I really think you inspired more people than you would ever know. And man, like the crazy thing is like you just getting started, bro. I think your best music is not behind you. I think your best music is in front of you. And so man, like keep sticking to your guns, keep doing your thing, bro. Much love for sure.
Love it. Thank you very, very much.
You're so welcome.
Shot a shot. I asked him a couple people that he thought you should collab with, and he's like, "Well, there's this cat, you know, in Charlotte, who would love." Yes, he did. He shot a shot.
We definitely will do that one day for sure. I'm a fan. I love him. He's so talented. Yeah.
So what's to come?
You know, for me, I want it to be more and more about, well, first of all, just creating things that are beautiful, and they're not having to be any other requirement. You know, I'll never stop chasing that. But for me, it's going to be more and more about how I can, you know, put some of the things I learned into other people. Be that my residency that I have at Dillard University here in New Orleans, HBCU, where I'm doing a master class. We just did a talent show for them, and we have interns here at the studio from Dillard. But really, it's just about passing this along, legacy. Much of me moving back to New Orleans was about legacy.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you know, then nothing lasts forever. Make sure that you put something into this earth that is going to last past you. And I just felt like I'd be more impactful doing that where I was made and born and bred and, like, you know, shaped. Let me make sure that this town is taken care of. I think we'd be in such a better place if people just took care of their things, you know. So for me, I just want to keep trying my best to pass it along and, like, see some other people live out their dreams, you know. However I can be a part of that, and I'm not limiting that to anything, you know. However I can be a part, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else are you interested in? I know you mentioned sneakers earlier.
Sneakers, I love. Yeah. I'm pretty boring after that though. No, sneakers, music.
Yeah.
I'm a hooper. I'm a hooper. Like I said, my son, you know, he's six something now, you know, but like I beat him his whole life, you know. He's recently beat.
I was gonna say, but you probably not.
But I mean, I beat him after he beat me.
Okay,
so
got you.
Clear. Yeah. For basketball, I love bowling.
Really?
Yeah, I love film. But yeah, like I said, I'm very much a homebody. So the music is my life. Has always been my life. Outside of that, I don't need much else. To be totally honest. Yeah.
Yeah. If the music fades, who's PJ?
I mean, PJ is love, you know.
Yeah.
PJ is love. PJ is love that he's. If this went away tomorrow, I've been so blessed already. I mean, I've gone, like I said, I went past. There's stuff I didn't even have on the bucket list, you know, that I've been able to see and experience. So my family, you know, them, as long as they continue on and what I've put in my sons and my daughter, I'm okay. I'm okay. You know, PJ is everything that I've left here, and all the love I try to send out. I just hope that remains and people are new where I did it from, what place I did it from, and I'm content. You know, I'm content.
Yeah. So we talked about sneakers. Let's talk about fashion. You have a very eclectic fashion sense, and you're very confident and secure in that. Has that always been?
Yeah, I think I always cared about presentation. You know, I think that spilled over into marketing. You know, it's all presentation in a way. But that was the first form of presentation. It's like I remember. Because we in New Orleans, I've been to Catholic schools my whole life. So
Really?
we looked forward to that.
That dress down day.
Come on, man.
Yes.
So, but when I realized I was different was when my friends all showed up looking exactly alike, almost like they had a conversation.
Got you.
That I wasn't on. Like we don't wear polos and blah blah blah. And I remember I came in some overalls and some Timbs. This is before Timbs were made popular.
Okay.
You know, I don't know what I was doing on the East Coast, but they were like, "Yo, what are you?" And I didn't care, but it was in that moment I realized, okay, I'm just a little different. But my mother is where that comes from, 100%.
Really?
My mother, when I would walk into my mom's room, she would have E on all day. This is before E was E now, you know, with reality shows. E used to just be runway.
Really?
And my mom would have it on all day long. If my dad was in the room, Andy Griffith was on. If my mom was in the room, I knew E was going to be on. Just runway fashion all day. And my mom is still super fly. I'm talking about not fly for my mother. Just like real life fly.
Wow.
And I think with my wife is super fly, just natural sense of style though. I've always loved that. It wasn't never about brand names per se.
Right.
I do love brands, and I love luxury brands, but like to me, you're fly when you could do it without any of that, you know. And so that's always been an expression. I think it all of these are extensions of just creativity, and that's one. How I dress and how I looked and presented myself was always like I was always aware of that.
You mentioned drawing earlier. So do you draw out your own things? Or?
So I draw. This is so funny. Somebody wanted me to put it in like put it in a scrapbook or something. But like when we do tours, I will draw out like how I want us to look, what we're wearing, kind of. I'll draw out the stage plot, you know,
right.
Just with you know, because then they put it in these machines and digitize it and all of that. But for me to get the ideas out, I still need to put pen to paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all still they're all connected.
Yeah. Right. The vision make it play.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been awesome having this conversation with you.
It's
Thank
been
you
good talking
very,
to
very
you.
much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love remains.